Tamara here, nice of you to join me. This is part 3 of the landscape album in a box. There is two different memory books that will be with this series of videos. We'll have the landscape one and then we'll have a portrait one, which we'll do at a later date. Now this idea all came from doing an online tutorial with My Creative Spirit, and she taught us how to make this lovely gorgeous box here that's got like an inserted like little compartment on the top of the lid. Now if you want to purchase that video, then head over to My Creative Spirit and check under, I think it's online workshops, and I think it's under there, and you'll be able to purchase that workshop. I have to say I'm not sponsored for this video. This is entirely my own work. I just like to give inspiration, give shout out to people that have given me inspiration along the way. So yeah, so I've not been sponsored for this. So in this video we're going to be doing page 2, which is this page here, and we'll just have a quick look through it. So we've got some tags that we've got inside. Now the tag sizes are really down to you. I've just used offcuts of pieces of cardstock that I've had when I've cut out my pages and things, so they really are down to you on what you want to, how you make them. So for the actual decoration, what we've done is I've used that same die, which is the Mandarin Whiskers one from Cool Cats Crafts, to create my sort of focal point of my pocket. And then I've also used another of the Cool Cats dies, which is the Never Ending Strip, I can't say this, I'm sorry, Never Ending Strip die. And there's 4 different dies, sorry, yeah, 4 different dies in the set, but I've gone for the scalloped edge one, and we'll see that in action a little bit later. So that then just gives me that extra space to then put some more tags in. And then when we get to the back one is pretty simple. I've done like an envelope wallet type closure with my matching papers that I've cut so they flow into one, so I like that idea. So we're going to need our dies, which I've got them here, and some cardstock, which I've got here, and our trimmer, which I've got here. So that's what we're going to need for the minute. Now let me bring this over and then we can see. Now if you remembered from part 2, I had to just make sure then, what I'll do is I'll put the link up there in that corner, and that will take you to the front of the playlist to see the series of videos from the beginning. Yeah, I will put it up there, and then you can head on back there if you want to, if you got to this by mistake. Okay, to make up our pages, or our page, wow. So let's cut our paper down. So we need to cut it down first of all along the longer side. So if you are putting your paper in, so it's landscape, cut that down to 3.5, and then we now need the length, and that needs to go be cut at 10 3/4, like so. So bring in your scoreboard, and we need to score this at 5 3/8. So score that down, and then you should just end up with a booklet. Okay, so like a type of booklet. So you'll need a scoreboard and a pencil. And with the short edge butted up to the top of your scoreboard and the fold on your right hand side, that way we know that when we put the decorative edge on, it's going to be on the right side of the paper. So we need to make a mark at 2 1/8, and then I'm going to close my book up and then put the fold to the top edge and mark again at 2 1/8. But I'm going to open that out and just bring that mark over, okay, to the front page, and then we can then place our die onto our cardstock. And this is really these dies are really good because they've got a center mark as well, so you can gauge really where the center is. So I'm going to just stick this now through my die cutting machine. Okay, so that's then our die cut out. So we just need to clip this excess off. And this part here I'm going to trim with my trimmer, because I want to get a straight edge. I'm just going to trim, I'm just going to cut down to my mark using my trimmer, as you can see there, and then just trim that little bit off. So for our pattern paper we need to cut one piece off that's going to measure 3 3/8 by 5 1/4. So let's just stick, and that gives us that nice 1/8 of an inch border all the way round. Okay, so I'm going to mark this one at 2 inches. And again, turn it round, mark this at 2 inches, and then just bring that mark around to the front. Okay, 1, 2. Now that then, although I've marked at 2 inches, I'm just going to put my die up probably just just a tiny minuscule, because if I'd have done it at 2 1/8, your die would come off your paper and you wouldn't get that top decoration. So by marking it at 2 and then just moving your die up slightly, you will then ensure that you're going to get the whole of the die cut out. So take my die away and then just trim this off, and again this side. If you've got pencil marks, you could rub them out now, and there we go. And then that should just fit nicely. Yes, brilliant. So as you can see, we've now got a lovely border all the way round, and it's just cut out perfectly by doing it that way. So we need to do the inking of our edges. Right, I don't need to ink the bottom here because that's going to be cut, that's going to be covered. So that's down my next part. What we're going to do is we're going to just cut out a pattern paper enough just to cover probably about 2 1/2, maybe let's go 2 3/4 inches so that we can come down here, because we don't want to waste cardstock behind things we're not going to see. So by doing that, you're saving some cardstock. So I've got my other piece here that I've cut out that was left from my other sheet, this sheet, so I can use that. So we're going to cut this down to 5 3/8, and then just cut it. I'm going to cut it down to 2 3/4, and then that is going to sit over. I'm going to put it this way actually, because I don't want that part thing. Oh no, might need to cut this down again, sorry, to 5 1/4, beg your pardon, I got the measurements. So 5 1/4 is this measurement here, not 5 3/8. So that's going to sit over there. So we're not going to stick this down just yet, because we need to stick it onto our book. Now I'm going to mitre the bottom but not the top, because I want the top to lay flush with the top of my page, because when this covers it, it's going to hide that join, if you see what I mean. But it's not going to matter so much at the bottom, because that's going to be covered anyway. But we're just going to mitre this bottom one and our double-sided tape. So we need to do one on the front and one on the back. Like that. And one, two. So we are going to just stick the back piece down first, because this goes on to the back of the hinge. I hope you can see that there. So I'm just lining them up, and I'm just going to stick down. Okay, now I have actually put tape on here. I didn't need to, because I'd forgotten we're going to cover that with the paper. So let's take that bit off, and then our paper is going to cover that like that, like so. So ink your edges. I've inked all of them, I didn't need to. A habit, I think. Your glue. And then we can stick that piece down. Okay, like that. Oh, you get a bit of a wiggle room with this glue. Okay, and then we can then go and close this up. So you can put your tape just along that side edge and also along the bottom, like that. Okay, and then take the back off. And then just put it into place, like so. Okay, so that near enough is our page done. We can then go ahead and put on our decorative panel that we've cut out. So we can cut that. And put that in. Like so. There we go. So we're going to need to cut some cardstock at roughly, okay, so 2.5 by 6.25. 2.5 by 6.25, like so. Then what we're going to do now or next is just give a 1/2 inch on either side, okay, like so. Now I'm just going to double check that that fits. Yes, that's fitting perfectly. So fold your score marks over, so you've kind of got something that looks like that. So you've got scores on 3 sides, so on the 2 short sides and 1 on the long. And then we're just going to trim off those corners, so miter those corners. Now the reason we miter those corners is that when we close it up, we don't want this bit here being all bulky, so that probably needs just a touch off it a bit more, so they sit flush. Can you see? So there's a little gap in between. That's going to cut down on the bulkiness of your corner. Okay, like so. And then we're going to we're not going to do anything else to this just yet, because we need to put our decorative edge on. Now if you haven't got decorative edges, you can leave it. You just like that. It will be just as nice as it is on its own, but we're going to put our decorative edge on. So I'm just going to cut down these corners at the top and put our... Now you can cut this 1 or 2 ways. Now you can cut it where, like I have here, with the points going down. If you cut it with the points going down, you will only get the scallop. But if you cut it with the points going up, you'll also get that decorative stitching feature in as well. I didn't want that on this, so I went for the points down where the decorative feature came out. So I'm just going to mark that. I'm just going to by eye it, so I'm just going to put it as near to the top as it will go and tape that in place. Now don't worry, because it is going to go across there, but don't worry about that. We can sort that little bit out in a moment. Okay, so I may need to just... no, it's worked. That's fine. So as you can see, I've just got the scalloped edge and not the decorative feature. That's come off. You could use that on another part in your album if you wanted to. Now as you can see, those... where it went over the side, my side tabs, it doesn't show at all. So that's really good. So yes, you could keep this and use it for another bit of decorative element in your book. So that's good as well. So once you've cut out your little pocket, we need then to cut out the pattern paper. Now the measurements for that are 5 1/8 by 2 inches. Okay, so here's one I did a moment ago. So although it's bigger, once we've cut out our decorative element, it will hopefully slot into place. So I'm just by eyeing it, and hopefully I've got that in the right place. Okay, then that is then our decorative element. Now I'm going to chop probably about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. like so, so that I get that nice border all the way round. There we go, like that. So you could cut it 1/8 of an inch smaller if you wanted to instead of being 2 inches, you could maybe cut it down at 1 7/8. So again, ink, then we can go ahead and stick this on. Okay, that goes on like so. I'm going to leave that a little while just to set because it's a bit wet still. Okay, so we need now to put our double-sided tape onto the back of our glue strips, and so you just need them, as I say, on the back of the glue tabs, like so. Just burnish them down, take them off, and then we can stick them into place. So it's going to go, so I'm going to stick the bottom bit down first, so line it up with the bottom of your page, so line it up with the patterned paper, okay, and then make sure that's stuck down, and then you can just fold in the 2 glue tabs on the ends, and then they should stick there nicely into place. So then that is page 2, the front page done. So we've done that page, so let's go on and do then our back of page 2, which is then the wallet style page here. Right, to work on our second page, we're going to need some cardstock again and your trimmer. So we're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 3 1/4, 3 1/4, and 3 1/4 by 5 3/8. 5 3/8. 5 3/8. Bring our scoreboard back in, and then we're going to score with, so we've got our top shortest piece at the top and our longest piece down the side. So we're going to then just score 1/2 inch. Okay, fold that over like so, and again fold that over. Score this one at 1/2 inch as well and fold that over. This is going to be our glue tabs. Now bring our page, our book in, and then these are going to fit onto the back of our page. Okay, make sure you get them, well, it doesn't matter which way they go. So I'm going to miter these edges on here. Oh, isn't it funny how you get, I don't even know where that's come from. I've got a tiny little heart sequin. I haven't used sequins for a while, so how that has ended up on my paper, I don't know. It's like the dust in my craft room here. It glitters, it glistens with the amount of, I suppose, fairy dust that we have in our craft rooms. So I'm just double checking to make sure that's going to be exactly as I want it, and it is. And excellent. So you can I cornered the edges on my, I just give it a rounded edge with my corner punch. I'm going to keep in with the same thing as I was doing before, and I'm going to just use the decorative edge on this one. So this is the snub. Like that. And then before I stick them down, I'm going to ink my edges. So switching to a thicker double-sided, we're just going to put then some double-sided tape along the outside edge of your glue tab. Okay, cut that off. And this, although this, because this is 1/2 inch, this is just a bit too deep. I'm just going to trim off the excess bit of double-sided, like so. And again on this one. Oops. And let's take the backing off of this. Never get it off. There we go. One. So I'm going to stick this one down. I've got a bit of extra bit of cardstock on there. So I'm going to start with the bottom one, and again just line it up with the bottom of your page. Okay, and then burnish that down, and then I can turn it round. I can do the top one. And again do the same thing, line it up with the edge of your page, and then just burnish down a bit of double-sided backing there. Okay, so that then is the near enough the second page done. Right, let's cut our pattern paper down to size. Now I've put my sizes on here, but what I want to do is I want to have my panels matching with the paper. So I'm going to paper piece the panels together. So the easiest way I've found to do this is to cut, as I'm using A3 paper, this is going to be really easy, but if you're using a 8x8 or 6x6, you won't be able to do that because you haven't got enough height to be able to do the paper piecing together. So you can do this obviously with A3, 12x12, A4 size cards, but 8x8 you would just be probably about that much short, so again you might struggle. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut down, I'm going to cut this way, and I'm going to cut it at my widest width. So my widest width is 5 1/4. So as I haven't got an A3 trimmer, I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. Now I'm just working out what part of the paper I want. So I think I've done that enough. So let's just cut that bit off a bit more. Okay. So I'm going to cut it at my widest, and that is 5 1/4. So 5 1/4. Okay. So I'm left with that. So that then is going to fit quite nicely over my cardstock. So I'm going to start at this side because I really want this particular element in my to show in the paper to come through. So I'm going to start it here. So we've already done our 5 1/4, so we just need to cut it down to 2 5/8. So 2 5/8, that gives me that nice border all the way round. Now this one is at 3 3/8. So keeping your paper in your trimmer, 3 3/8. Just cut it down. And again, this one is at 2 5/8. And then that should then all marry up all the way. Okay, and then I've got that really nice decorative feature in my book. So I'm going to ink all my edges again. Now one thing I've forgotten to do, which I'm going to do now, is just miter and corner my edges. So make sure I've got it up the right way again. So that way. So these top corners are going to be decorated, because then they fit nicely onto my sheet. And then the bottom one, I'm just making sure that I've got it the right way. I'm going to cut off the bottom two. Like so, just, and right, before we now need to stick on, we can stick this bottom one on. Like so, we can stick that on there, move that out. Like so. Now, and we can stick this bottom one on, okay? So stick this one on down here. And right, we're going to leave that one off because we're going to put our magnet. So we want a magnet on this side and a magnet on that side. And where did I put my magnets? Up here. So you need 2. Now, just a bit of your tape. And we can stick it down. So it doesn't matter where it goes. Don't put it too near your edge because you don't want it to show through. So put it as much in the middle as you can. And then what I'm going to do is just, with the sticky side up, I'm just going to let the magnet find the it's going to, the magnet, the pull from the magnet underneath will put the magnet on the top in the correct position. So I'm just going to rub that that tape down, and then that then will have stuck in the right place. Okay, like so. Now the reason I put them there like that is because if you put too much paper or card in between your magnets, the magnetic pull lessens, so you might find then that they will keep springing up. So I've kind of try and put them where there is less card that it needs to go through. So we can go ahead and now stick this top one on. And that goes on like so. And then we've just then got the top two to do. So let's, and what I may do is, because this is springing up, I might just put one more little magnet on the outside here. Oh. So one just on there, and then that's going to most definitely keep that in place. So let's put a bit of sticky tape over the top there. Okay, so that is now going to keep that closed. So now we need to, we've got the measurements for this. That was 5 1/4 by 2 3/8. Or was it 2 5/8? Oh, see, I told you, rubbish remembering. So 5 1/4 by 2 5/8. I was right. So I'm going to just use the offcut that I have here that come off the bottom of my page. So let's go with, actually, what's that one? Oh, this is the, I could use this. This was just another piece that come off the bottom of here. I think that come off either the bottom or the top. Can't remember. So we can use that, and that is so 2 5/8, and then that gives us that by 5 1/4 ink. And stick on, and then the bottom one again is the same, so 5 1/4 by 2 5/8, and that is there. Again, just mite at the top, the just 2 of the corners, ink. And put them on like so, and then we've got another page completed. Now I did say we were going to do the tags, so I've got loads of offcuts here that I've cut out of different sizes of card that I've sort of cut off and used. So I'm going to use some of this for my tags. Now this one, I said we have to be careful of that the tape. So let's have a look. So if we cut it at 4 3, so 4 inches yeah, no, 4 3/4 by, if we go by 3 1/4, so let me write this down so I do not forget. So 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. Okay, so let's go with 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, let's just check. And that, see, it's a little bit too much, so just take off. So I'm going to take off, so make this at 3. And then that fits in there quite nicely. So that is 3 for that one. Now you can again decorate your corners like so. So that one is in there. Now I did say we were going to use the little decorative tabs from Cool Cat Crafts, which are here. Now I use these circle ones. They're not circles, they're squares. I use the squares. You could use the ovals. It's really up to you how you do it. I'm actually going to change this up and I'm going to use the ovals. So you'll need to cut out the bigger one. This will make your base, and then the 2 little ones are your layers that go on the top. So just find yourself some scrap piece of card and scrap piece of paper, and then you can cut them out. And there we go. So we've got 2 here. So you just, all you do then is, it comes like that, and then you just fold it in half. And then these, the little layers that go on the top, I'm just going to ink around the edges there. Like so. Put some glue on, and as they say, Bob's your uncle. And then I just need to obviously just now ink the edges of my card. And like so. And just ink that top edge there. So that then is the decorative feature done. We just need to cut the cardstock out now. So we need to obviously go down 1/8 of an inch. So that would be 4 5/8 by 2 7/8 is the pattern paper. So 2 7/8 by 4 5/8. Okay, that should fit on there nicely. And I do apologise if you can hear the magpies in the garden. They are really squawking. They seem to always come out at the time when I'm filming. Okay, I'll ink these edges. You need to do both sides because you're going to be covering both sides. Okay, so glue this down on one side, like so. There we are. Now I just need now to do the back. Now again, I'm just going to use bits and bobs of pieces of card that I've got left. So that's for there, and then this one will be 2 3/4, which is there, 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, and that should, although that's just a bit too big, I need to cut that down to that is 2 3/4. So that then will fit in there like that, although it's just a little bit too short for that, but I'm not going to worry too much because this is just on the back of our label. So I'm just going to, I keep saying that, I'm just going to, so what I've done is I've mitered the corners with the tool, the Crop-A-Dile, but just 2 of the corners like I have with most of the, with all the other parts in the book. And then we're just going to, I'm not going to ink the edges of the white, and we're just going to put that on. Okay, I'm going to bring that over so that the borders around are exactly the same, and then it looks as though I have made that happen, that they're too short either end. So we can then stick this bit on. Now you can either stick it in the middle or stick it at the side. Really, again, it's a personal preference. I'm going to stick this one in the middle again. I don't actually know what I did on the other one. So again, just by eye it. Don't have it sticking up too much because you don't want this to come past the top of your album. So I'm just going to put it in that way just while it dries. Then we can just then work on these ones here. So again, it doesn't matter, you can have like they don't have to be a certain size, so you can just make your own sizes up. So then that can fit in the bottom pocket there like so, and then that is in the top one. But again, you can put a little pin or something on there too, so that you can pull it out. I've got small safety paper clip here. You could put on, you could put a little element on there. So let's just cut a small little element off and just and then that element can fit on like so. Then it just gives it another feature. So that is that done. Now the last thing is what I did on here is I found a nice piece of paper that I'd cut out that I'd quite like that effect, so I used that as a topper. You can either use something like that. It's just a topper just to put on. Now this one measures 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, so you just need to make your cardstock 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. That's my measurements, but you may have a bigger piece that you want to use. Again, the measurements are down to you. They're entirely up to you how you, you know, what sizes you've got. You might have a nice piece of, you know, like an offcut of something that you want to use. And it's not this particular size. So don't feel you have to be governed by that. Now I've just made this part just a bit too, it's just a smidgen too big. So I must not have cut a proper, I was going to say proper square. So I'm just going to use glue, but you could even put this on with foam pads as well. So I'm going to go that way. And then that is my little decorative feature that I'm going to just glue on there. So I'm just going to add just a tad of double-sided, just to keep it, to get it to stick now. That backing off, that bit off, and then I might just put a little tiny bit of glue just around it, just to keep it really stuck down. Again, don't put it on all of them because you're only going to have half of the, well, maybe even just a quarter of your topper showing. And then just by eye the middle of your page and then stick down. And then where you've got the double-sided, that's going to stick now. Okay. So that's page number 2 done. We've worked really hard today, so as I say, that's what it looks like inside. It looks quite nice. I love this decorative feature. It's really nice. I've got a thing for this type of scroll. It's like a Baroque. I can't even think what this is called now, but I've just got a thing for that. I love it. I just love that design. I really do. And my the flowers are really good, really lovely too. So thank you for sticking with me again on part 3 of the landscape album in a box. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed really making it. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I would love it if you shared my video with on your feeds on Facebook. That would be so helpful if you could do that. It would be amazing. I'm on Facebook as well, so come and check me out on there. I'll put the links down below, so you can just click on them, and then you can go to your social media site that you use. I do use Instagram an awful lot as well, so and all the others I do use, but Facebook and Instagram and YouTube are my main. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.